but we'll haven't checked back probably as diligently as you have. So seven's pretty decent, I think. I usually quite a bit of a very quiet, humble person, but I'm going to take all the credit for their success over the last 4 games. Yeah, one of the things I have to be careful about now in regards to relationships.
Hello and welcome to the panel's Premier League predictions for this week 9 of the Premier League season. And here, as he is always, to join me to look ahead to the fixtures this weekend is 4-time Premier League winner Brian McClair. Brian, just consulting my notes here, you got 7 correct results last week, which is around about average, but it just goes to show us now how tough it is to predict these games each week.
Very difficult indeed. I thought it was more than 7, but I'll take your word for it. I thought I meant 8, but I mean, I didn't.
Forgive me if I owe you a point. I made it 11.
Yeah, I think it was 8.
Oh, okay. I stand corrected.
But we'll haven't checked back as probably as diligently as you have. So 7's pretty decent, I think.
Yeah. So
no exact scores right enough, but
no exact scores, all just correct outcomes. Let's see if we can put that right this week. So we roll on to week 9, and we start with a Friday night game this week for a change, and it's something of an East Midlands derby. It's Leicester against Nottingham Forest.
Well, I think week 9 and all the games really are probably a bit more difficult than week 8, Friday night game. Forest are unbeaten in the last 6 away games. Have won 4 and drawn 2. Leicester, who didn't win any of the first 6 games, have now won the last 2 games. The last time they won 3 games in a row was in 2021. And quite an impressive start from Jamie Vardy for me anyway, is that he scored 3 goals from only 9 shots. I'm going to go for a win for Leicester. Leicester 2, Forest 0.
Forest 2. Leicester 2, Forest 0. And okay, that takes us to Saturday. No early lunchtime games, straight into the 3 o'clock games, and straight to Villa Park for Aston Villa against Bournemouth.
Well, Bournemouth have scored more goals, 6 in fact, after 69 minutes in games than any other team in the Premier League this season. Villa have had their best start with regards to the point accumulation since 1998-99. And Ollie Watkins has been involved in 15 Premier League goals in the last 9 games versus opponents whose names start with a B. 8 goals and 7 assists. Aston Villa 3, Bournemouth 1.
I can see how pleased you are with yourself with that research. But I hope for your sake it carries on. But I mean, in all seriousness, Villa flying at home and abroad, it just gets better and better, doesn't it, for Unai Emery's team?
Yeah, they're there. I mean, their improvement has been incredible under Unai Emery, and since he almost immediately got the job, it's just sure. I mean, clearly the players are responding to his tactics, and they're playing some good football too. And as I said, they're now getting goals from all over the place and seem to be very strong at the back also. So which is, I thought that it might be a bit more difficult for them this season because they were going to be involved in European football as well, but they have very much confounded me with regards to their form.
Okay. And you must be pleased. I mean, anyone that doesn't know, you spent a bit of your own.
Anywhere you've been, you always have a kind of soft touch for them. I've always been. Well, I always liked the Villa to do well. There's also that my daughter's partner, he's a Villa fan, and the little lad had a Villa strip on today at his football, so it's one of the things I have to be careful about now with regards to relationships.
Okay, well, 2 clubs you didn't play for, and I don't believe you got any ties to, are Brentford against Ipswich.
Well, it's the first ever meeting between these two sides in top flight history. Ipswich this season have had the fewest shots and the fewest shots on target, and they've lost on the last 3 visits to Brentford in all formats. Brentford have scored first in the last 6 games, but have only managed to win 2 of them. And would you believe there's been 17 goals at the G-Tech Community Stadium so far this season? So I think there'll be goals in this one. Brentford 3, Ipswich 1.
Okay, another 3-1. And on we go. Brighton versus Wolves. Struggling Wolves. This is, how do you see this one?
Well, I mean, Wolves lost to that controversial last-minute goal that City scored last week. I thought David Silva takes Jose Sa out of a comfortable set position, although after the VAR check, the goal was given, but there's been plenty of conversation around it. I would be very surprised if other teams attempt this tactic or skill or trick, whatever way you want to call it, in the games coming up the weekend. I would expect it there would be a free kick given. Well, you never know. Wolves have only gained 1 point from their last 11 Premier League games. I'm not going to mention Welbeck this week, but Brighton have won 4 of the last 5 meetings against Wolves. But I'm going to go for Brighton 2, Wolves 2.
Ooh, that would be a great point for Wolves. Did that come about? You mentioned the bit of devilry there with City and Wolves. You would have tried that though as a striker in the old days, wouldn't you?
I think that is something that I think it was something that was probably employed quite regularly. Anyway, I used to actually stand there, not touching the goalkeeper, but not in physical contact with the goalkeeper. But I used to stand there, and quite often the ball would come in like that, and all you needed to get was usually a little touch with your head, and it was past the goalkeeper. So yeah.
Yeah.
But in those days, the way that teams defended was they would have at least one, if not 2 people on the post. So there was never any, unless they ran out, which was
Playing onside.
where you were going to be onside. So there was no debate about no that being a factor in any of the goals.
Yeah, no, good point. Well, talking of that goal and that game, it's next. It's Manchester City, Southampton. Can anyone see anything other than a cricket score here?
Well, Southampton have lost 5 goals from corners this season, and City are the top goal scorers from corners, having scored 3. They're unbeaten in the last 12 home games against Southampton. They've won 10 and drawn 2. And Haaland's not scored in 3 Premier League games, and he only touched the ball 14 times last week against Wolves. Having said that, I think that City will win comfortably, and City 4, Southampton 0.
Yeah, before you said that, I pretty much had written down 4-0. I thought that's what you're going to go for, so we shall see. Well, on that note, that brings us to half-time. There's no injuries to report, so we'll be straight back after this quick break. Hello and welcome back to the second half of our Premier League predictions this week, week 9 of the Premier League season, and we're back with the 5:30 game on Saturday. It's Goodison Park. It's Everton versus Fulham.
Well, Fulham are unbeaten in the last 5 Premier League games against Everton. They've won 3 and drawn 2. And would you believe all those 3 wins were at the Goodison Park? However, Everton are now unbeaten in 4. 2 wins and 2 draws, and I'm going to take the responsibility for the turnaround in Everton's fortunes. Dwight McNeil has been involved in 6 goals in the last 6 Premier League games. Sorry, 6 goals. Yeah, the last 6 Premier League games, he scored 3, and he's had 3 assists. And I'm going to go for Everton again. Everton 3, Fulham 1.
Okay. You're taking credit. I mean, for anyone that doesn't know, you've pretty much backed Everton all the way, even when they lost their first 4 games.
I'm usually quite a bit of a very quiet, humble person, but I'm going to take all the credit for Everton's success over the last 4 games. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we know where to find you if they go through a bad patch. Let's go on to Sunday. Plenty of great action on Sunday. Starting at 2:00, there's 3 games. The first of them is Chelsea versus Newcastle.
Well, I mean, Newcastle got off to a great start in the Premier League this season, winning 3 out of 4 games. But they've had a bit of a difficult period, and they've not won in the last 4. And Chelsea have only lost one out of the last 29 home games versus Newcastle. So I'm going to go for that to be 30 this the weekend, and Chelsea to win by 2 goals to 1.
Okay, so the Chelsea resurgence continues, even though they got beaten at Anfield last week. They're still looking strong, you think?
Well, I thought they played well at Anfield. It's just that Liverpool played that little bit better than them.
Yeah.
And just shaded it, I think. But yeah, it was a good performance, encouraging performance from a Chelsea point of view.
Yep, agreed. It's Palace Tottenham next. Palace team that are really struggling. Yeah, they need points. They need a win, that's for sure.
Yes, that would be very helpful for them. Spurs, who came back from a goal down to win last week, had 22 shots, 7 on target, and scoring 4 goals. If James Maddison starts the game or makes an appearance, it will be his 200th Premier League appearance. And he has 5 assists in his last 11 games. And similar, Palace had 20 shots on Monday against Nottingham Forest and somehow managed to fail to score. I think they'll lose again on Sunday. Crystal Palace 1, Tottenham Hotspur 3.
And you see Palace being patient with Krasnodar, or it's time running out. I mean, we've got the dreaded international break coming up in a couple of weeks. It could be the.
Well, of course, they need to start winning games, but their performances probably warranted more points than they already have. However, you would always want the people to be patient with a manager, and I think Crystal Palace have probably been one of the ones that are maybe most patient in the sense. However, they have had quite a turnaround of managers in the Premier League. We'll have to wait and see what occurs after this weekend's game.
Yeah. And next, it's a fixture you know all too well. It's West Ham versus Manchester United.
Well, I don't know if it's incredible or not, or maybe just part of the form that Manchester United have been in or out. They've only won 2 of the last 17 visits to London, and both of them were against Fulham. They've managed 3 clean sheets in their last 3 away games. Well, 2 of them were unexciting 0-0 draws. West Ham last won back-to-back home games in 2023, where in the second game of that 2-game run, they beat United. I'm going to go for West Ham 1, Manchester United 1.
For a minute there, you had me thinking you were going to do it again, but no, you're sitting on the fence, and I don't blame you, to be honest. It's always a tough game, that, for United, so who could blame you for that? Now, 4:30 on Sunday, I think, no offence to anyone else, but this is the game that we're all looking forward to. You could say an early title decider, although that would be completely untrue, but that's not how it's going to be billed, I'm sure. It's Arsenal versus Liverpool.
Well, Liverpool looking very strong. They've only conceded 3 goals, which is the fewest in the Premier League. And they've scored in their last 17 Premier League games in this fixture versus Arsenal. No Saliba after that red card last week, and the stats show that Arsenal are more frugal defensively when he plays. Although Arsenal are unbeaten in their last 4 against Liverpool in the Premier League, winning 2 and drawing 2. Havertz has scored in his last 5 appearances at the Emirates. Arsenal 1, Liverpool 1.
I wouldn't expect anything else, but then again, I wouldn't necessarily disagree with you. Probably, and if that comes about, I suppose both teams would be happy with that. I mean, you're not going to get a title decider at this stage of the season, but then if Liverpool were to win, you're going to put Arsenal 7 points off the top, I think.
Yeah, I mean, the sending off last week was the changed the game, really, didn't it? Although Bournemouth didn't score until late on, but it amazing. And for one reason or another, I mean, Arsenal have managed to have 3 players sent off so far this season, which is I know a lot in the first 7 games, first 8 games. They're either the discipline has to improve, or maybe they have to have a bit more fortune with the decisions.
Okay. Well, as I say every week, we shall see. And don't forget to leave us your comments, whether you agree with Brian, disagree, or have any views of your own. Leave your comments below. We shall see how it goes, and we'll see you again next time. Until then, goodbye.